All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Board of County Commissioners meeting for this September 27th. Would you all please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, gentlemen, the first thing we have on our agenda today are the minutes, and there were some additions and corrections which have been corrected. Are there any other additions or corrections?
No.
No.
Okay,
I move we approve the proceedings of the Board of County Commissioners for Montezuma County held on Tuesday, September 20th, 2022, as presented.
Second.
okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the proceedings of the Board of Commissioners, Montezuma County, September 20th, 2022. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next we have planning. Come on down and we have a public hearing. The first thing on, so Kim, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Candelaria.
Here.
Commissioner Lindsay.
Here.
Commissioner Oppenhafer.
Here.
Administrator Anderson.
Here.
Attorney McLaren.
Here.
And Kim Purcell, Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for review and determination regarding a proposed subdivision amendment to the Orchard Acres Subdivision, lots C and D, submitted by Jerry and Victoria Schwaderer on properties located at 25682 and 25574 Road T.5, Dolores, Colorado, consisting of 9.30 acres more or less, located west of Road 26, south of Road T.5, situated in Section 32, Township 37 North, Range 16 West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, September 27th, 2022 at 9 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Office online services at https://co-montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com public home. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated this 9th day of September 2022, Kim Purcell, Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado, published in the Journal on Wednesday, September 14th, 2022.
Thank you, Kim. Okay, Don,
Jerry, you want to come up?
give us an overview on this one.
Mr. Schwaderer is here, the applicant, owner of the two lots. Where do you want me? Right here.
You can sit right up front.
You can join us. This is just a common lot line adjustment in a subdivision. So they own lot C and D. They are moving the existing lot line to the west to not split the pond and encompass it totally in lot C. They're just going through the process because it's amending a subdivision, so it's just a lot line adjustment. Lot D will remain 3 acres.
Yeah, I think it said 3.01 acres or something, so it's just over,
Right.
yeah.
To make it compliant still. The residences are on both properties, nothing's changing there, nothing's being added, just boundary adjustment.
Okay,
I have nothing.
question, Commissioner?
No,
I guess the only question I have is, how long has it been like this, and then what's the purpose of the change all of a sudden?
We bought the property back in 1992, and it was like that when we bought it. And we bought the property, and my mother and father-in-law both lived on that side. And so in 1993, they brought in the mobile home, and there was an old basement house there. And so all the improvements, the water and the septic and all that were already there. So they brought in a mobile home and we built a real nice garage and they lived there for 25, 26 years. They've since both passed. And so we just don't want to deal with rental property and all that. We're retired. And so we decided to go ahead and just split up. We tried to split it off 10 years ago and I was told we couldn't do it. And so what we decided to do was go ahead and, because there's so many splits going on property out there on our road, we thought, well, we would check into it one more time. And decided, we just don't need it. We just don't want to have to deal with, we got a good renter, but we just don't want to deal with it. So we decided just to sell it, simplify our life a little bit. We could do a little traveling and that sort of thing. So it's just one of those deals, I guess. You know, but no emergency reason to get rid of it, just don't really want it anymore. So don't want to deal with it.
Which is great, and I appreciate the comment there, but really the lot line adjustment is more my concern, because that's really what we're addressing today, is just the lot line.
Right.
I mean-
And the reason that we wanted the lot line adjustment is because we do want to sell that 3 acres, and the last thing in the world I want to have is a split pond. I can just see
That's a big-
future issues, because the water in this country is such a major deal. If we have 2 people owning the same pond, and it's a large pond, it's about an acre,
Okay. It
it
is a lake.
just creates a lot of
Yeah.
future issues that I just am not willing to
Okay.
mess with,
Okay,
so.
all right.
Yeah,
Answered my question. That was all. I was just
Sorry, I
curious
kinda ran,
after,
you gotta tell me to
after
shut
this
up.
length of time that
Oh, we're not
it
gonna
it
tell you to
seems,
shut up.
no, this is why this is
Yeah,
set this way. You can have as long as you want.
okay.
You were
okay.
on the agenda, you have no time,
Oh, okay.
you have no time
Well, I've said
constraints.
everything I need to say unless you need more information, so.
Yeah. No, I was just curious after this length of time why a boundary line adjustment would be
Yeah.
needed.
Well, after my 30 years of living in this country, I found out water is a huge
Mhm.
issue. And I certainly don't want to deal with a split pond. It
Yeah.
just would be a nightmare, so.
Understand. Okay, well then, I will bring it back to the commissioners for any other questions, if you have any.
No, I do not.
Okay. Well, at this point, then I will open this up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this application, please come forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you may address the board at this time. Okay, seeing no public comment, I'll close the public comment session of this application, and we will bring it back to the commissioners. Gentlemen, any other questions? Again?
No,
All right, well then, what's your pleasure?
I move to approve this proposed subdivision amendment to the Orchard Acres Subdivision Lot C and D submitted by Jerry and Victoria Schwaderer on property located at 25682 and 25574 Road T.5, Dolores, Colorado, consisting of 9.3 acres, more or less.
second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the proposed subdivision amendment to the Orchard Acres Subdivision Lots C and D submitted by Jerry and Victoria Schwaderer on properties located at 25682 and 25574 Road T.5, Dolores, Colorado, consisting of 9.30 acres, more or less. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And I will close this public hearing. There you go, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much.
Yep. Thank you. Have a great day and a great retirement.
I will.
All right.
Well, it's already been going 7 years, so.
All right.
Now I can maybe enjoy it, so.
Okay,
Okay,
good.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, Don, looks like we have a bunch of signatures.
Yep, we've got, the first 4 items are gonna be signed. We do not have the plat for item number 5, so that won't be done today.
Okay. All right, well,
Sign away.
get that blue pen out and we'll come on down.
Definitely.
Am I taking this? Sharon will be here in a little while.
That's all we got for right now, unless you got questions or topics.
Nothing.
Very good.
I don't think so, not at this point in time. Actually, I do. How are we doing on our letters that we're sending out for non-compliant stuff? Are we getting any,
We're getting responses from them.
some responses?
Yeah, there's one down, south of town that I'm not sure they're gonna do anything, 'cause we had to kinda straighten out who actually owns the property, 'cause they were confused that deeds were never done, so. We might get a little more activity and cleanup since it's been determined different owner than
Then what was that?
somebody through a will, yeah,
Yeah.
So we are getting responses though?
correct.
Okay.
And we've got
Are they positive responses?
From their side, just depends on how much I can believe or not.
Yeah.
So we had also had the conversation a little bit about, you know, a list or, you know, of the most critical violations and how we want to start addressing that for Ian, because obviously he can only handle, we kind of set on his plate 3 at a time that he can go to court. So have you guys looked at that any further, or?
Yeah, we don't have a long list now, so, we can get the one property to him. The other one out on Road P, previously, you didn't want us to address it. It's an old dump that's been there for years, but if it's time, we can go ahead and notify him.
I think that was one of the concerns that we had, was off of P Road, right? Gentlemen?
Right
Yeah.
there at the top of the,
Landfill?
Yeah.
A landfill that's not supposed to be a landfill,
Mhm.
where all of the,
Unlicensed landfill.
all the animals were in, yep, I think it's
time.
time. I mean, from my point of view, it's beyond time. It should have been addressed a long time ago.
Okay, we can get that one out too.
From listening, you know, to what's happening out there specifically with the livestock and what's
Right,
going
yeah,
on there,
there's-
it's beyond time to address that one. Because
right.
it is really a landfill,
Basically, yeah.
and it's not
Yeah.
anywhere close to being a landfill.
Right, and it's all running down into that draw, so anything that, any moisture, any water is all gonna seep and run down there, so I'm sure it's not clean.
Probably not.
All
So
right.
that would be my only question for right now, and,
What I would suggest that we do is either during a workshop or during a meeting in the coming weeks, that we all come in and sit down and go through the top priority properties, and then you guys can look at those and figure out which we want to file on and which we don't.
Okay.
That way we have authorization before we go ahead and file something, and we can kind of talk through where we're at and what some of the issues may be. Some of these properties are going to be more challenging than others, especially ones that have been there for a long time and been out of compliance for a long time, because obviously some of these properties predate the land use code, and so that can create some difficulties with enforcement. But I know planning's been super busy. I've been bogged down the last couple weeks, but maybe next week we can get that list together and get in front of you guys and
let's go ahead and,
figure out.
does that work for the workshop next week to try and get through that list or
Mhm.
find at least the top 10? I know that James Dietrich, when I first started here, we had a top 10 list that the Planning and Zoning Commission had set forward. Obviously, one was the M&M and one was the Wild Wild West, which are both now been mitigated and cleaned up. So that's 2. I'm sure he still has it. If not, I think I have that booklet that they had put together, Planning and Zoning had put together.
Several of those properties have now have running businesses in them.
So we can look at that too, just to to address that and
I
then
don't-
come up with a list for Ian.
So they're no longer Brownsfields, but I don't know that they're exactly cleaned up, but they're
Right.
operating, and I don't know if that's something the new owners have on their plate or where that stands.
Right. So, Travis, if you would put that for a discussion for next week on our work session. Okay?
Perfect.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, next up, we have our public comment session. The Board of County Commissioners welcomes you to this meeting. Person speaking during the public comment will be limited to 3 minutes, or depending on the number of people wishing to speak, and may be reduced to allow all members of the public the opportunity to address the board. When addressing the board, please state your name and address for the record prior to providing your comments, and comments to individual supervisors or staff are not permitted, and participants may not yield their time to others. And with that, the public comment session is open.
My name is Mike Lynch. I live at 21730 County Road S. Good morning, lady and gentlemen. I'm here this morning to give you each a copy of a book. If you are not allowed to receive gifts, then please consider this a loaner, and when you finish with it, please return it to me. The book is titled The Doctrine of the Lesser Magistrates. It is only 108 pages long. When the superior or higher civil authority makes unjust or immoral laws or decrees, the lesser or lower ranking civil authority has both a right and duty to refuse obedience to that superior authority. If necessary, the lesser authorities even have the right and obligation to actively resist the superior authority. You hold elective offices which could be considered lesser magistrates to the government of the state of Colorado and the federal government. We, as citizens of Montezuma County, depend on you, as well as others in our county, to uphold good law, but to resist bad law. What is bad law? The bad law I am talking about is law that is tyrannical. A tyrant is defined as one who contravenes or impugns the law of God, assaults the person, property, or liberty of the citizens, or violates the Constitution. This book won't tell you how. It tells you why. It won't give you courage. You have to come up with that on your own. It won't give you support, but I believe the people of Montezuma County will support you when you stand up for what is right and what is good, and when you stand against tyranny. We have an election coming up soon, and I suspect you all will be here when the election is over, so I don't feel I am wasting my time this morning on this subject. In the past 2 years, we have experienced tyranny from our governments. I suspect it will happen again soon. Our Secretary of State has promulgated bad election law. These are just 2 examples. Other situations may follow in the months and years to come. I hope you read the book and take it to heart.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, next. Anybody else? Come on down, sir. You bet. You can sit or stand. Just make sure that that mic is turned on and pull it as close to you as you can get it.
My name is Carol Steep, president of Aiken Adventures Incorporated, Dolores, Colorado.
And I'm Gordon Callahan, Callahan Construction, out of Denver, Colorado. A family-owned company. Carol now has changed her name to Mrs. Callahan, so we're a team together now. What we're here for is, as you know, we had a subdivision of 20 sites that was presented to the Planning Commission about 2 months ago. And we ran across some very unusual situations. I've been in this business, all my life, and I'd never heard of segregating. But people brought up the point, the neighbors of segregating, and so.
Mr. Callahan, can I just interrupt you for 1 second? Is this a subdivision that's already been approved by the BOCC, or is this still set to come before the BOCC?
It is before, yes. It was rejected by the planning, and hopefully we'll be able to present it to you at some time.
And so, if this is something that has yet to come before the BOCC, then this is not the appropriate time to comment on this. Mr. Haley, can you help us out?
Just to clarify, this was taken before the Planning and Zoning Committee, and it was recommended for denial. Since then, they have been given all the documentation. This was originally recommended for denial back, I don't remember the date, 10 years ago, maybe? 2017? 2015.
So,
And
without getting into too much detail,
Well,
if this is something that still
I'm
has a
just-
chance to come before the
Yeah, so
BOCC.
it was recommended for denial. So in order for them to bring the exact same application and preliminary plat for review to the BOCC, they have to petition through our office, the BOCC, to come before you. There's a time limit of 30 days, at which point that expired back in August. So that time period has expired. So in order for them to move forward, they would have to make changes to their application and the preliminary plat for P&Z to review it and go back through the process.
So here's my concern. When we deal with subdivision requests or these sorts of things, these commissioners sit as what we call a quasi-judicial body. They're ultimately the judges that weigh whether to approve or not to approve these sorts of requests. It's important in serving as quasi-judicial officers that they have an opportunity to hear both sides, that they don't hear things in advance of a public hearing, that they don't take into account information that's presented outside of that public hearing, because it's important for them and the public and the surrounding landowners and you guys to all have a fair shake. And so to the extent that we're dealing with something that still is going to come before the BOCC, now's not the appropriate time to comment on the situation. And what I would recommend is that you go before the planning department and go through that application process. But we don't want to give these guys information before that public hearing, because ultimately that could result in them not being able to make a fair choice, and it could result in a situation where something is overturned in the future.
I understand that completely, and I'm not here to ask for anything except one thing. This problem with the segregating or whatever goes back to the original subdivision 20 years ago, and there was comments then.
So I think I get what you're saying. So Don, you said they just need, so this was an application that was done in 2015, correct?
That was the original. The same thing came before us.
Planning and zoning, which the dates
recommended for
expired.
denial in July.
Okay. So I guess the request today is just that they can move forward with the changes? Is that what you're saying?
They would have to make an amendment to their application and preliminary plat for it to go back through planning and zoning for their public.
So we can't really make that through public comment anyway, so that would have to be an agenda
I
item.
understand that, but the problem we have.
So
is-
commissioners, I think we continue to receive information about this. What I'm going to advise at this point anything that has anything to do with this subdivision request that we don't hear anymore.
So I think what we're trying to say, public comment is not the time for this. This has to be done in an agenda item for us. And then, so get with planning to see what that process is now to make those adjustments, and then it'll come back before us in the proper
Yeah, I
manner.
understand that, but the problem I have is how do I solve segregation of this?
I can't, again, this is public comment. This is not, this is for us to listen. We don't really necessarily, we are responding right now, but typically we're not gonna respond because of that. This is a public comment session. So we're really stuck in a bad situation here because now you need to go through staff. You
Right.
can get the questions answered through staff to get those questions answered for you, because like our attorney just said, it's a quasi judicial hearing, and we can't be tainted one way or another. We have to have all of the people be able to comment. So I would recommend the only option that you have is to go back with staff through planning and figure out what you have to do for there, and then it comes forward as an agenda item, not a public comment item. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I still don't understand how to solve the segregation problem, and I was hoping the county attorney might have an answer to that, but
And there again, we don't have any information on what you're even
Yeah.
talking about, so it's hard to,
so we
we're
might
not, we
have to go
can't
through
comment.
litigation.
I don't,
Well, certainly speaking to an attorney would always be an option for you. You know, your other option would be to conceivably speak to the planning and zoning department, but
Well, we've tried that, but that hasn't brought anything to fruition yet.
Just to clarify, it's, under the land use code, it's segmenting, wherein you can't. This is not specific to them, this is just, in the land use code, segmenting is one of the items, that you're not allowed to do.
okay. That's just a land use code.
Right.
yeah, I'm just worried we're getting outside the
Okay.
public comment
All right.
parameters here.
Any questions, or?
Well, not that.
Probably
we
not anything I can
Not
answer.
that we can ask, and not that we can get answered right here. This is
Sure.
public comment.
Yeah. Just so YouTube land can look it up if anybody's curious in the land use code. The word is segmenting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll see what our options are, I guess.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
But I wouldn't have to litigate, but it appears that might be an answer to the question. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, seeing no further comment, I'll close the public comment session of this meeting and we will move on. I think Travis has my email pulled up over there. We have public health. I don't think Bobby is on Zoom, or maybe she is. But we have a couple of DocuSigns that we need to sign.
That's the weather service.
That's weather guy. If she's not on, that's okay, Travis. I know they're in a class, so she may not be available. But basically, we have a master contract for the WIC and an amendment to a couple of other contracts. So if you want to display those, I think, Ian, you've seen all the DocuSigns.
I have.
I am trying to get them up and they will not allow me to access.
That's the issue with DocuSign. So how do you want to display this?
Um, I don't know, like I said, IT's kind of not my specialty.
Well, we had it set up this morning to where he could get into my email on that computer to actually pull them up.
The password may have expired after a certain period of time. I'm not sure, but it will not allow access. That's it.
So one of the issues that we have, just so that you guys are all aware, when we get our DocuSign contracts for any of these programs, there's a time, they're time sensitive, and they'll send them, and if you don't sign them within that period of time, they expire, believe it or not, with or without a signature. So we'll have to get back to the sender and get them, because obviously they're a contract, we want to display them so that you can see them. But that's basically what they are. They're contracts of public health. Two are deleting them, and one is a contract for the WIC program. So with those, we can't display them because the time has expired, and we will move on. So Bobby, I am sorry, we'll have to get Celeste to send those back out again. Okay, social services, Gina. I don't
No, Gina.
see Gina, so we'll move beyond, and I see Sarah is here. So we'll go to our veteran services, our VSO.
Good morning.
Hello
Good
again.
morning.
The packet seems really large today, but I'm not going to go over all of it, just to explain what's there. This month we had the total, we served, August we served 763. There was 145 appointments and 617 calls and 1 outreach. Our financials was $8,026.99 for August. Office activities. August of 2021, we had 173 people. This year, we had 145. That's a decrease of 28. We assisted 600 and, well, that number is wrong. It's 763. That number is the phone calls. We had 9 new clients, so 61 new client visitors to date. And we filed 12 claims this in August. We had 15 decisions come back. 13 were favorable, 2 were confirmed and continued. That equated to new monthly payments of $8,327. New annual total of $99,935. Retro payments were $516,303.76. On that next page, I highlight, it's actually one of our biggest retro claims to date out of our office. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail for anonymity of the spouse, but this was a claim, a NEMR Agent Orange claim back to 1989, and they awarded the veteran 100% disability all the way back to 1989. And the spouse received full spousal benefits and her DIC when he passed away. So this was one of those accrued benefit claims that the spouse continued. That equated to $447,000.
So this has been going on since 1989?
Yes. Yes. So it was originally put in and denied in 1989. It was reopened in 2021, N.M.P.M goes all the way back to 1985. In 2021, they denied him, saying he didn't have this condition. Rick found it shortly after, and we reopened it. It was a clear and unmistakable error on the VA's part because he had that active cancer diagnosis all the way back to 1989. So I give full credit to Rick and the veteran for hanging on this claim. It was a huge find, a huge mistake that the VA made that they could have prevented many years ago. So.
Okay. Well, good.
Yeah. Thank you and
Good-
your office and
good for-
everyone for doing this. Those veterans that were exposed to Agent Oranges, a lot of them suffered greatly.
Yeah, we fight every day for them, so. That there is a little kudos award that I received during our training, a U Rock Award. It did come with a rock even. The one that's painted there in the center is the one that I received, so.
Congratulations.
Thank you. On the next page, I wanted to, I know you guys don't see a lot of what we do, or, hey, how's this go, our training and stuff. So I just wanted to include this so you guys could see what kind of stuff we train on, what we're required to certify in. This is what we train on in spring training. We'll retrain on some of this again. They'll expand it and they'll add more stuff. So every year we have to have 36 credit hours to maintain our certification. And this is, I think, 30 of it. So I just wanted to include that so you guys can see kind of what we go over, what they're having us do these days. This last packet, I'm not going to go over this, but I wanted you guys to have this information since it's the latest and greatest thing happening for our veterans is the PACT Act. This is a slideshow that they presented at training. It goes into a little bit of depth about the PACT Act, some of the facts on it, dates, what's included in the PACT Act. So I thought, great opportunity to give it to you guys. It's available to the public as well. I've been passing out copies to anyone who asks for it as well. So I thought just to keep you guys in the loop on that, and this is coming straight from state VSOs and the VA directly, this information, and we pull it right out of the law. So wanted you guys to have that. That is it on my report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
All right, Tomoko, I do not see Jennifer.
Gina's here. No,
Huh?
Gina's here.
Oh, okay. Gina snuck in, so come on down.
Morning, Commissioners, Kim.
Morning.
Morning.
Travis, Dan.
It's that time again already, huh?
What's
It's
that?
that time again?
Yes, it is. I apologize for being late. I was in a meeting.
Well, that's okay.
So,
All right, gentlemen, you want to take care of the,
Take care of business.
mm-hmm.
I move we accept the minutes of the regular session of August 23rd, 2022 of the Board of Social Services, and also accept the expenditures and financials for the Board of Social Services, can't even spit it out, for August in the amount of $1,881,714.42.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the record of proceedings for the regular session on Tuesday, August 23rd, 2022 for Department of Social Services, and also their payables for August 2022 in the amount of $1,881,714.42. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you very much.
that's easy. That's way too easy. You have nothing
It's
else?
not, it's not easy.
She's got that
I'm-
smile.
It's
She
not
does.
easy. We
You
have one vacancy, a Case A Child Protection Services opening. Our eligibility staff, we have it, they're fully staffed now. And we also probably need to have 2 grievance panel members appointed, because 2 of them have already ended their term, and I've given that information to Kim, so I'm sure she'll be talking to you about that as well.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So we'll get it, and then we'll get those.
Yeah, I think it's always good to have 4 panel members on that board.
Mhm.
So just keep that in mind when you start appointing people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Jonathan, we'll go next with you. And Lori.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So we stole some baloney.
Well,
Oh, did you guys want to address this today?
I think we've looked at it. So basically what we're looking at today is, there was an issue apparently with the annex and the rental agreements. We obviously have been going through all of our fee structure lately, and this was brought to our attention that the fee structure was not apparently there, or it wasn't on our website. It basically wasn't there for anybody to find it. So we have actually tasked Jonathan with putting together something to put this together for us to look at this as far as our fee structure based for the annex and the senior center. So with that, go ahead.
Yeah, so, I received some questions from the administrator on our use, how we do it, and just kind of to cost compare with what was out there. So this is what I came up with. What's out there, what's available, Empire Electric. If you get Empire Electric, you're a member. There's no fee, it's a $100 refundable deposit. There's their capacity. They have no alcohol. Baymont doesn't have a facility anymore. You can see Destination Grill, it's pretty pricey, and it's done by room, half a room, half day, kind of full day, that's their costs. They do include costs for like their projector, their PA system, and the use of a phone, which we do not currently. I hadn't thought about that. There's the Elks fees, they go by room. They've had some structural change to their fees, but you can see like their lodge room, 250-person capacity is $375. The Staghorn room, 75-person capacity, $250. Their patio, and then the entire facility is $1,000. Their deposit is 35% of the rental fee. Use of a bar is $300 plus, of course, drinks, the cost of the drinks. And then members can get a discount, but it's done on a case-by-case kind of scenario. The manager decides what he's going to do as far as a discount. And then there's the Legion. The Legion's $250 a day, $125 deposit, and cleaning fee, both are refundable, and a 500-person capacity. And of course, several of those places have bars. The annex does allow alcohol if they go through the city process, right? They can go through the city, so we don't, in general, have alcohol or see alcohol much once in a while. And then we did put some discussions. We've discussed a lot of, we deal with this a lot, of course, because we do have a lot of things happening. And honestly, a lot of this is kind of new, especially, I don't know, and maybe it's not new. Like, so for instance, we do get a lot of county use. The 4-H uses it a lot. The health department for COVID, clinics or, vaccinations, what they had earlier, and for other things too. So this is what we suggest from our staff, and this was brought up really early when I came on, actually, at BOCC. We had some brief discussions that we never had anything put in place formally with the annex. We actually feel, as a staff, there should be no fee waivers, including for nonprofits. And the reason I hear a lot about not-for-profits getting a break is not all, in fact, most nonprofits aren't struggling fiscally. And any time a nonprofit writes a grant, there is always money put in there for training, travel dues. So in other words, there's funds designated for events. And I've worked for nonprofits and written grants for nonprofits. That's my personal thing against nonprofits getting waivers for using the annex. Our belief is that the only waivers that there should be is for the Christmas dinner. Number one, it's a community event and it's Christmas. The other thing is county departments. We don't think county departments. It's a county facility. We don't mind. We have good relationships with all the different departments who use it. These are just thoughts for ours. As far as the cost fee, we think it should be $50 an hour and still max out at $200. So we do $25 an hour currently. After 8 hours, that's considered a full day. It doesn't go past the $200. In other words, we stop at $200. The deposit, I don't think I mentioned the deposit, but we do a $100 refundable deposit, and we don't see a need to change that. The other thing is the kitchen. We currently charge $75. We don't get a lot of use out of the kitchen, but we do. And so we currently charge $75, and we think that should be increased to $100. One of the things we don't want to do, we did have one person who used the facility to make, she makes pretzels and then sells them out for her business. We would really not rather the kitchen be used for commercial use, just as a note to anyone who comes, or it'd be extremely high. If you try to rent a commercial kitchen, it's gonna be very, very pricey.
We have a commercial kitchen for rent right now. It's out at the fairgrounds.
And we do know that.
So my question are they consistent? Are they the same? Did you look at the fairgrounds? Because I don't think one should be above or below the other. They should be consistent for sure. So you might want to get with Justin on that.
We will. Okay, I had not, actually. I mean, I think we spoke, and I don't know the exact number, but I know he's a lot more expensive for the kitchen. 75 is a steal, and
Yeah,
that was
that's-
one of the things, yeah.
Here again, we have to cover those costs. I
Yep.
mean, I know what we just spent on that remodel not
Yep.
too long ago when we can't.
And our personal view is we obviously use the kitchen a lot. Maybe it's just being territorial. I just don't want a lot of people in there using it for a commercial kitchen for potential damage.
We do have a commercial kitchen, though. It's not necessarily that they have to use that one. There is one at the fairgrounds that is available for rent.
And we do refer people over
Okay.
there as well, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So that's the thought on all of those, and then we did suggest that, I hadn't thought about this in the past, but we don't charge for audio video, and a lot of the events use it, and I think that's a good idea to charge for it. Often, I'm spending my time setting up people's computer, getting it going, and it is a simple, IT has done a great job. It's a very basic, simple procedure, but still, people have to go over, flip a few switches, connect with their computer, and, a lot of them aren't savvy tech-wise. So, and then there are times where we have to bring IT over. So we do think we'd like to see something on there as far as a cost goes. Whether it's 20 or 40 bucks, we think it's something that should be added. One of the things we do, if you hold right there, at that bottom kind of bullet point there, it says we'd like to continue the practice of allowing some setup, cleanup time for events. One of the things we want to do is have a good relationship with the community, and that's really been our goal, is to get more use out of it, because it brings in more money, and that's what we should do, as county workers and people who serve the community. So we always allow for a setup time and a cleanup time. In other words, if someone has an event for 2 hours, we typically, if it's going to be there 30 minutes early or whatever it is, or after cleanup, we don't hold them to an exact time. It's a matter of, we don't charge for cleanup and setup time. So that's something we'd like to, just as a heads up, I don't know if the commissioners are aware of that, but, or the public, anyone who uses the facility knows that. there's a setup and a cleanup time that is kind of thrown in, and we think that's a good practice.
So I think it needs to be delineated, because if it's not, the setup time could be 2 days in advance, and then you lose a day. I mean, those are
Yeah.
just kind of like what the fairgrounds does also, because they
Yeah.
have the same type of, situation out there, because
Yeah.
obviously vendors are coming in to get things set up.
Yeah,
So I think it should at least be tightened up a little bit so that everybody knows
okay.
what the expectation is, because the expectation could be something totally,
The way we do it, Commissioners, we calendar the time based on the event. So for instance, if someone's doing a birthday party, they're gonna come in 15, 20, 30 minutes early. If it's a full-day event, and we have nothing calendared for that Friday before, they're welcome to come in the evening and set up, and it may be a couple of hours. And I can try to put some language together. Couldn't really do a specific time, because a bigger event's gonna have a little more setup time or cleanup time in general. So we but every person that comes in, we go through the whole procedure or process, and we ask about, do you need time? How much time do you need, in calendar? But I can try to draft some language to that effect into the agreement.
I mean, I'm just speaking out loud. You guys,
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
what are your
yeah.
thoughts?
No,
Hey.
I,
Go ahead, Gerald.
well, I mean, like what you're doing as far as working with people, letting them set up ahead of time like that,
Yeah,
we should be doing that.
yeah,
Yeah.
We should be doing that.
yeah.
We're here to serve the public, not,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's kind of been
You
our
take care
feeling
of it.
too, when I came on, I saw this as an opportunity to bring money in, and we really have brought in a lot more, and it gets a lot more use out of it. Because it is a community service. At the same time, it's the facility, and the funds are going, it's going to the Meals on Wheels program. It's going to the Meals program directly. So that's something that, we've tried to get that message across too. So there's the thought on that, and I can put some language in if necessary for that. Finally, there were just a couple of house cleaning kind of matters on this, is that, we recommend that the fees no longer be waived, and I don't want to be controversial or nothing like that. That's just kind of a viewpoint conclusion we've kind of had. If it is waived, that we do need to, if there's gonna be waivers, we need language in the agreement that there has to be a process. We'll typically tell people, or people will know, we'll go to the commissioners. So we can put that into the agreement, or it's gonna need to be put into the agreement. And then, this is something else we have. So when there are events, there are often meetings with those events. And it's only been really with a couple of the groups where they have a big event coming up, and then they're gonna meet with what the event's gonna look like or what it's gonna be. Those events, or those meetings, whether they're an hour or whatnot, we calendar them, but we don't charge for them. If someone has an event waived and they wanna say, hey, can we come in for a meeting? They come in for a meeting. And we just kind of tie it in with it. So we'd like, again, I don't know how that would all play out in the long run. It wouldn't matter, of course, if fees were no longer waived for any group. That wouldn't be an issue, but, and it's not, I don't think we're taking advantage of or nothing like that, but then for us, we'll need some clarification to just help us.
So the fees that are typically waived, that they come in and do a presentation to us that we've seen in the last couple of years.
Right.
One, we waived a fee for the Christmas dinner, we waived a fee for the corned
Stand
beef
down,
and cabbage dinner for the,
stand down.
Yeah.
the stand down
Yeah.
for the veterans. So those all have presentations coming to us to waive the fees. So
Yes.
I guess that's why we were taken back a little bit, that was already happening, but it doesn't sound like it was being consistent.
It wasn't consistent, and you're right about that, and, and I do take I'll take some of the blame and responsibility. So when we opened back up for COVID, a lot of places still had not opened back up, and I know that there's several groups, 2 groups in particular, that use it more, and they're community groups in a way, and, so we're wanting people to use the facility at the same time, not have it taken advantage of. We never feel it's been taken advantage of. If I can build a relationship with a group who's had fees waived or coming in for a 1 hour, let's say the VFW is coming in for their monthly 1-hour meeting or whatever that is. If I build a relationship with them and one of those members has a party, a birthday party, graduation party, or knows someone who needs a place and they come to us and it's an all-day event, I just knock out $200. And so for me, it's a way to kind of develop a relationship without saying, oh, you got to go over to the commissioners and have the fees waived for an hour. So it was really more about that, trying to develop a relationship. After COVID, we had opened up before pretty much anyone else, and people were starting to look for a place to have their events. So that's really where, and then of course, as we become more open and more people using the facility, then you have more people, well, they didn't pay or they didn't pay or they paid kind of a thing. So that's where the kind of confusion, and maybe we should have nipped it in the bud a little bit sooner, but that's kind of where it fell into this situation. Yeah.
Okay.
Then the other thing too is just, so the senior center we had, and I mentioned this before, we have, so the, you know, the annex, but if you look at the senior center, we have two groups that use it. We have a dance group. They give us a donation. This year was $300, and the Art League uses it for Tuesday. I had worked that practice with the previous administrator when I first came on, where they come in on Tuesdays for a couple of hours. We don't charge them. We get to display their art at the center. That's the art you see actually over there. And then if they sell anything, which it is for sale, it's some nice art too, 10% of the proceeds would go to us. So that was just an agreement I did when I came on to try to spruce the facility up, make it nice. Art is always nice, and it's really nice art over there. So that was something I did. And it is the senior center, it's not the annex. But if there's gonna be some changes or necessary, I just wanted clarification on those two in particular.
So that was actually a question, the dance group asked us
Right.
that question when we went over there to have lunch with the seniors a couple of weeks, well,
Right.
it's probably been a month ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And the question arose is, why do we have to pay $300? And took us totally off guard because we're like, we didn't know you paid $300 for your dance group, where it sounds like now it's been a donation that they actually donate
Yes.
$300 for the
Yes.
use of the
Yeah.
facility. It wasn't a mandated charge.
It was not. We're-
So, it just
And I did
every
speak
time we
with them.
turn around, there's just something else that people are bringing up to us. That's why we're trying to clean things up.
Absolutely.
As far as the art,
That's a
I
good
mean,
deal.
That's
sounds
what I
like a-
thought too. It's a good deal. And my door is an open door. Everyone knows. I have an open door policy. People can ask me any question about anything, and same thing I'll tell you is the same thing I'll tell a person walking up the street or whoever it is with how we do things over there. So I did speak with them about that, and you know, how information gets out or goes from one to another in today's world, it's a tough one. But that's how this is as clear as I can be. And that's just how we've done things. This is how I've done it since we've been there. We've been stuck in that position sometimes too, where groups have got things waived and, hey, can we have a meeting? We're in a fine line with the community relations thing as well, the public relations with seniors, and for us is, we're here to serve them, here to serve the county, the community, that sort of thing. At the same time, understand that there are some policies and procedures in place, but as far as strict guidance goes, that's honestly I've never seen anything in writing, other than I understand that fees can't be waived except by the commissioners. And we've never gone with the sense of, I'll override the commissioner's decision, we'll just do that. It's always been for some kind of a small hour lunch or an evening meeting or something like that, especially after COVID. And we're seeing, again, back to more people wanting to use the annex. That's where that came from. So. And then at the end, and this is something else too, is anyone who comes in, whether they come in to see us or they call, they get the same spiel. This is what we charge, this is how we do it, this is how we do the deposit. Everyone gets a walkthrough, whether it's the projector, the PA, the cleaning, what we expect, the key to the garbage bins. Everyone gets the exact same tour or treatment or process. We put that in place quite a long time ago, and that really hasn't changed. Anyone who wants to rent the annex will know exactly how we do things.
Okay, all right. So the question is, do we want to deal with this today, number one? Number 2 is, are we good with the fees that he recommends? Number 3, do we want to utilize the kitchen, yes or no? And if so, I think it needs to be consistent with at least the fairgrounds.
Commissioner, real quick, he's on the agenda, I believe, for the 4th?
The third.
The 3rd?
I think I put the third, I think I said that was the
3rd
third.
or 4th, it's for the next agenda.
Okay, so
this might be
we don't
something
have
for-
to make this decision today, we can use it.
Yeah, he can,
Okay.
this is just food for thought, that way
Yeah.
he can bring his contract and you gentlemen can take a look at that, have time to
Okay.
chew on that.
Yeah,
a
I
little bit.
anticipated the working group, I think on Monday the 3rd.
So, questions, guys?
Not at this time.
Okay. And those, just real quick, those 3 bullet points, those 3, what you just, that's exactly what it is. We continue the fees and then the kitchen deal. And then we just, one of the reasons I had Lori here is because she stole from the sheriff's office. And so,
We were informed about that too.
well, we did not know, we were trying to keep it secret, so we still don't know where the bologna is. We kind of think where it is, but anyway,
I
so.
just want to explain to you what happened. I've been involved with commodities for about 20 years, and I went out there on the 7th, which was a Wednesday, to separate my commodities for Dolores, and I put everything that goes to Dolores by the doors. Well, I opened the freezer door, and oh my goodness, it was just full of stuff, and I thought, holy cow, this is great. Look at commodities, is going to be good. So I set all the stuff out there and everything, and then went out there Saturday morning and gave everything that was in the freezer away that I could, and find out, the sheriff calls me up and says, do you know what happened to food that was in the freezer? And I says, yeah, commodities. What? I'd give his stuff away. But I apologize, and
Well, it
we-
wasn't marked.
it wasn't marked, and it's the same stuff that we usually get in, only it was tons more. And
Good over there.
what happened is now we're getting a lot more commodity signups. They're expecting this, and it's this month. It's back to beans and rice, so I don't know. But anyway, that's what happened, and I apologize. Won't happen again. We got a call this morning that the cooler is down at the sheriff's department again, and don't give anything out.
It was miscommunication, but I do have to say, like, I'd never seen someone so excited about the food that came in. And she volunteers her time for that program too. Saturday's volunteer time, so.
Well, I appreciate you volunteering your time, I really do, and in your eyes, it was probably like early Christmas. It's like, wow, what happened here?
She actually presented to our advisory board on Tuesday, like, it was like an early Christmas. Well,
And the sheriff was in here
And
last week feeling like the Grinch somebody had stole Christmas. Because he's like,
we
what
thought she was
happened to all
going
my
out in
food?
cuffs, but no.
Yeah.
So,
They did show, two officers showed up at the senior center, and I went and hid.
But
Good
Just,
plan.
that's just a communication
It was.
issue between you guys that have
we had no
that.
clue.
Just make sure you're
Yeah.
communicating.
Yeah. And if you've done the program, and I've been out there, I would have done the same thing, 'cause the food comes in, the truck comes in, like today it came in, and it goes out on Saturday, so, it was a communication thing. Apologies to the sheriff, and thanks for the donation, so. That's all, anyways.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll look at these farther and address them then on our workshop next,
Okay, appreciate it.
on the 3rd or whatever it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate
Thanks.
it.
Okay, I do not see Mr. Spratling here, but I guess we'll have a weather update. Do we still have Jeff Colton? Yep.
Yep.
Go ahead and pull him up, Travis.
Are you on, Jeff? There you go.
Yep, I'm still here.
All right, good morning, Jeff. The floor is yours. Let us know what the National Weather Service has for us.
All right, I didn't know if I was going to continue on the drought topics, or if you want me to give you a winter outlook. I can go either direction, so what do you prefer?
Let's look at the winter outlook.
Okay, I have both shows, so I haven't actually ran this winter one yet, so this is good. I'm going to try to share my screen. says it's disabled.
Yeah, looks better than it did.
Is IT there? Someone can turn that on, or?
It's there. It's sharing.
Which screen you wanting to share?
Oh, are you seeing my screen?
Mm-hmm.
We see you.
Is that our screen or his screen, the Montezuma County Drought Monitor?
I think that's yours.
That's ours.
Because I sent the PDF to Jim, but that's the wrong show if we want to look at the winter outlook. Okay, well, I could just talk about it.
Okay, that'll work.
It's not quite as cool, but
You mean you
I have
don't
some
have
good graphics this time.
you don't have
But
a
anyway,
green screen?
What's that?
You don't have a green screen to stand in front of?
I don't do well with green screens. I'm afraid of them. But basically this winter, we're going into a third cycle of the La Nina. And as most of you probably know, La Nina is not a good word for Southwest Colorado. That usually results in a dry winter. This would be 3 years in a row of that. So we're not too happy that these conditions aren't easing. And this will be the third time in 70 years that this has occurred. So we just don't have real strong feelings or opinions one way or another of how that's going to impact Southwest Colorado. Because last year we saw a little better snowpack in the central mountains, which was a little unusual, and the northern mountains didn't do as well. In the southwest mountains, we had that one big storm last December that pretty much saved our bacon as far as a runoff in the spring. Without that one storm, it would have really been dismal. So that's kind of what it does with La Nina. We usually have one or two big storms in order to get a decent snowpack in the southwest. The difference this year is we've had a pretty active monsoon this summer. So that kind of moistened up the soils, especially in the mountains up there. So we're going to enter into this winter season with saturated soils. They're in much better shape than they were a year ago. So next spring, when the snow starts to melt off, we won't see as much groundwater penetration. So a lot of that water will run off and help to replenish some of our reservoirs. At least that's the plan right now. The days are getting shorter, so the amount of significant drying of our soils is kind of being reduced a little bit. So we should be able to hold on to what soil's out there. And I know it's been hit and miss. Some areas haven't had as much rain as others, but the San Juan Mountains definitely got hit several times this year. So La Nina weather pattern, again, it favors drier conditions across southwest Colorado, wetter conditions up north near Steamboat Springs. Temperature-wise this winter, we're looking at above normal temperatures forecast to continue. Pretty much that's the new thing. It's set every single outlook period, never changes. Long-range weather patterns are kind of favoring, like I said, those La Nina conditions where we're seeing upper level flow coming off the Pacific Northwest and then kind of diving southeast into northern Colorado. So the bulk of all of our storms will follow that track. As far as the drought conditions, we've had some improvement in southwest Colorado. That's forecast to kind of maintain itself into the winter months as we enter, or even get a little bit worse, because the forecast for the next 3 months are for drier than normal conditions. The good news is we have another storm system coming into this week that looks pretty wet, especially Friday into Saturday. We'll see how much we can get down into the southwest part of the state, but that's a positive. But the long-range 3-month outlook through December is calling for above normal temperatures favored and below normal precipitation all up into the Four Corners area and much of western Colorado. Then as we move into January, February, and March, we start to see the temperatures continue on that above normal track. Precipitation-wise, still forecast to be below normal, but a little better hint at some what we'll call equal chances from the San Juan Mountains northward. So there is a little bit of hope out there, and the La Nina conditions are expected to ease beginning in January, February, so we'll go into a neutral pattern, which would be kind of normal. Normal snowfall for the San Juan Mountains, we're looking at probably 200 to 300 inches of snow, so that somewhere in that range down there. And that's about it. I wish I had better news. But, yeah, I don't know. I thought we did pretty good with the wetness this summer. A little bit better as far as getting rid of that dry and helping those drought conditions ease up a bit.
You know, and I would agree with that. I was in the mountains last weekend, and just looking at the grass and the terrain up there, it's by far better this year than it has been in the past few years. I typically notice when the guys are pulling their cattle off, which they're starting to now, you know, it's pretty much a barren desert at this point in time, and it still looks pretty dang good. So I think the monsoons have done a great job this year as far as keeping that soil dampened up.
Yeah, I was up in the mountains around here recently, and the wildflowers are still out, and it's very unusual. That's a sight I haven't seen in a couple of years, so it's been nice seeing that.
Okay. Any other questions?
All right.
No.
All right. Thank you, Jeff.
All right. You guys have a good day.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
too. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay. Get ready for another La Nina. All right, unfinished business. Jerry, we have a liquor license renewal.
Hello.
Good morning.
Is it on? The red light's flashing.
Needs batteries.
Commissioner,
Yeah, I
real
think the
quick, I
batteries went
think it wasn't brought up, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think you need to decide on the drought. Is it the mitigation?
Drought designation.
Designation. Otherwise, it expires October 1st. So whether you gentlemen want to continue that.
It's not on our agenda, and I'm gonna look at our attorney because it seems like I've been getting in trouble a lot lately. If it's not on the agenda and I bring it up, I seem to be getting in trouble. So can we put it on our agenda for next week? It is gonna expire today, but we can just.
And generally, that drought declaration has been done by resolution, and so we've done resolutions to extend it or to not. So, you know, it's not on the agenda today. I'm sure we can declare a drought declaration next week if we want to.
Okay, would you put that on there for next week so that I don't get in trouble again? All right, thank you, sir.
So we're gonna declare, right?
Well, I
We
mean,
we will talk about it next week, and then we'll probably just extend it, basically due to the La Nina cycle that we all just have been brought by the National Weather Service again. So, all right, Jerry, go ahead.
My name's Jerry Frizzell. I'm from Montezuma County Clerk Recorders. Do liquor license renewal. This one's for Maverick Incorporated. Maverick Incorporated store number 275, located at 10223 US Highway 491 in Cortez, Colorado. And got the letter from the sheriffs, and they have no violations found for the Maverick.
Okay. Can I have it, Jerry?
Oh, I don't want a 7-day free trial.
She sent it to you in email again, correct?
I just noticed though that when they sent it to me, this says Maverick, it just says Hank's Brewery.
Okay, well, that doesn't work.
No, that doesn't work. I just noticed that the sheriff sent it to do that, or the sheriff's office, so I'm gonna have to get another one sent to me. But Heather did make a comment though that they did not find any violation. When she sends it to me, she sends, it tells me there's no violations,
But the letter doesn't say that.
that does not say that.
Yeah,
So I'm
better
gonna
have the
wait to
letter.
get the other one, to get it, the right one.
Yep.
Yeah, they took the
Sorry.
Maverick up there, but on the bottom, I just now looked at it and it says Hank's.
Okay.
We'll put it back on the agenda for next week.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Sorry, you can look at that.
That'll have to go to next week's agenda also, Travis. All right, next, Jessica, we have LOS.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
This is a pretty easy, straightforward ask. It's just a letter of support for Montezuma Leadership Network. For those of you guys that might not be or know about this yet, it's a new initiative that they're doing to revamp the previous Montezuma Leadership program that was run by, I believe, the Chamber. And so we are hoping to partner with them and work with them through our coalition building that we're going to use once we implement the Roadmaps to Resiliency project this fall. So I think it's a great program. I think it's a great asset that they're wanting to build and develop leaders in our community, and wanted to show our support as a county for it.
Okay, questions?
No, I've known this group for quite a long time.
So it's just basically picking back up the Leadership Montezuma program that was currently, or that was the chamber, was a chamber function, basically.
They're going to add a couple more different, like some networking events and some training and whatever have you, but it's pretty much going to be the same program.
Okay.
And the letter of support for this is, in particular, they're going to apply for a grant, and so for operating and for implementation of the program. So we're just writing letter of support for them.
Okay. All right.
I move to sign this letter of support for the Montezuma County and the Montezuma County Community Collective for the Montezuma Leadership Network in their proposal for the Laura Jane Masser Fund.
That's correct.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to sign a letter of support for the Montezuma Community Collective in support of the MLN for the Laura Jane Masser Fund. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, guys. I have space for all three, so if all three could sign it, it'd probably be better. I can edit that and just put space for one.
We'll all three sign it.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
That sounds great. Thank you.
So I have a question then, Ian. I was actually able to pull that DocuSign back up. How do we want to deal with this?
These are the DocuSigns for the health department.
The WIC and the two that are being,
I mean, if we have them up, they're on the agenda. I've reviewed them, chatted with Bobby about them. We're both comfortable with them. If you guys, I mean, if we can get them displayed, I think that'd be great, but I just don't.
can you get Jim McClama up here? Because I don't know how to display them if they're not gonna display from computer to computer.
You know, the other thing, we've got an executive session on the agenda, and we've got our reports. I wonder if we should continue to roll through the agenda, and then if we can get the IT issue figured out. I mean, we do have those contracts on the agenda, so.
Okay. All right, well, we'll keep working with that to deal with those. Next, we have our executive session for legal advice on a Road Y case that we are dealing with.
And this is actually just gonna be on Road Y, a specific question pertaining to Road Y, not the legal case that was involving Road Y. That has been resolved.
Okay.
I move we go into executive session for a conference with the attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on a specific legal question under CRS Section 24-6-402, parentheses 4, parentheses B.
Second.
been moved and seconded to go into executive session for a conference with the attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under CRS Section 24-6-402, parentheses 4, parentheses B. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. In the executive session will be present our clerk and recorder, Kim Purcell, Commissioners Copenhaver, Candelaria, Lindsay, Attorney McLaren, and our Administrator Anderson.
And also our GIS coordinator, Doug Roth.
And Doug Roth, our GIS coordinator. Thank you all.
Move we come out of executive session.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we exit executive session and we proceed with the remainder of our Board of County Commissioners meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next we have on our agenda is our county attorney's report.
So, big thing to update this week. Yesterday, a complaint was filed into district court by Montezuma County and by the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, naming CDPHE as a respondent. The complaint alleged violations of a consent order that Ironwood entered into on July 29th of 2022. Basically what that consent order was it was an order that CDPHE issued to Ironwood that required Ironwood to meet certain benchmarks for mitigating the danger caused by their wood pile. Those benchmarks included creating a barrier around the pile, separating the pile. The plan was to have it separated into 2 piles with a 30-foot barrier to begin, then 4 piles, and then over the course of months to remove portions of that pile. The allegation in the complaint is that Ironwood failed to comply with the order, and so this complaint was now filed into district court by Montezuma County and by CDPHE. In the consent order that Ironwood signed, one of the penalties that can be levied against Ironwood is a significant fine of up to $10,000 per day. So that will be on the table. And at this point, now the complaint is in front of the courts, and I, along with Deputy Attorney General, an attorney from the Attorney General's office, will be handling this, and we'll move it forward, and the court system will deal with it. Other than that, I did attend a hearing last week, a contempt action for Charles Fish, the property owner south of town. Mr. Fish did not appear for that hearing. A bench warrant issued. This time we raised the bond significantly. Last time he was released on a PR bond due to the fact that he had come to my office and chatted with me. But given this failure to appear now, we'll wait till he's picked up and move forward with that contempt action. That's all I have to report this week.
All right, thank you. Hopefully with that, now we can get something going with Ironwood and get this thing resolved and put to bed, hopefully.
Yeah.
So good job, Ian. Next on our agenda, we have our grant writer, Ms. Glasser, who is now going to start reporting to us on a regular basis. Good morning.
Good morning. I had to check my watch.
Oh, you're way into the morning.
We are. So, reporting, since last time I reported, we are still waiting to hear back on the congressionally directed spending. Just talked to Jim Spratlin via email, and he said that he should hear when that's going to go through the House. So we still need to wait on that, I guess. I thought we'd be ready by September. Knowing on that, we still are waiting to hear back on the outdoor recreation grant. I kept saying end of September, and it is the end of September. So any moment now, I would love to hear on that one. And as far as the CHAPA grant for the Montezuma County collaborative work that we're doing with Jessica through economic development, we have a preliminary approval on that for 1 year of work rather than 2. At the moment, so that would be a $62,000 grant if we get that, and we should hear on that. All I can say is shortly, because you just never know. But I believe that work will move forward no matter what. We've got deadlines going on with the Montezuma County Collaborative, not necessarily deadlines, but we're wanting to move forward with our rural roadmaps to recovery work that we've been doing by forming coalitions and starting to work on some of the major issues that we face in our county. I have been working with Jonathan Parker a bit from Senior Services on getting some additional funding for senior meals and identified a grant on Friday, which he applied for immediately. So that is through CHAFA. We'll see what happens with that. And then I'm meeting with the Lore Foundation today to see about if they would want to do any sort of partnering on anything with that, especially with providing some mental health services, some very minor mental health services that we do to seniors when we make contact with them. So that's something Lore might be interested in. And then Bonnie in Noxious Weeds Department requested some help finding grants. So I'm bringing that request before you that I can help her, but I already have started helping her. So,
And you have enough
yeah.
time to do that?
Yeah.
Because a lot of
I'm-
hers are working through the winter time, which I know
So-
we're getting.
Yeah, so she's already working on that grant that I passed on to her, which is called Landscape Skill Restoration Competitive Program Grant. It's a long one, but she started writing on that. So basically what I'd be doing is reviewing her work and just helping her with edits on that one since she writes most of hers. A lot of the times with the departments, such as Bonnie's, when it's really technical, sometimes it's easier for them just to do the preliminary writing because they know their projects really well, rather than me trying to learn and ask them a billion questions. So she's pretty versed. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. And then, as you gentlemen know, we're working on the Special Highway Committee Off-System Bridge Grant supplemental request, and we'll be meeting more about that today. And then the EIAF grant through DOLA for solar at the fairgrounds. We're just waiting on information from Empire and Shaw Solar to work on that to get us the final bid on that and specs so that I can put that into the grant, and that'll be due in February.
Very good.
That's what I've got for the moment. Any questions on that?
No, I think it's, I mean, thank you for working with Jonathan on that. I think, yesterday our budget presentation, we have roughly, I think he said 18,000 or somewhere right at there, of still a shortcoming for that. So anything that you can help us with would be greatly appreciated.
Right, so the grant that he applied for is through CHAFA. It's called the Direct Effect Spending Awards, and it's not something that will fund it on an ongoing basis, but it could fill the gap, and you can apply for up to 30,000. So I'm not exactly sure how much he asked for, but from the conversation I had with him and with Travis, I think that could potentially fill that gap, so.
Which
Yeah.
is good, helpful. Thank you.
Right, you're
Because
welcome.
we have a lot of gaps that we're gonna have to try and figure out.
That's what I'm here for, the gap filler.
Okay.
All right, thank
Questions,
you.
gentlemen?
I don't
Okay.
have anything.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
I don't think James, well, he might still be in a meeting. But I don't see him in here, so we'll go to Travis,
Most of my week was spent related to personnel, however, was able to meet with Nicole and John. The long-term goal is we're going to try to find some additional grants of 3 to 5 years to try to supplement some of that. I was able to attend a CCI Zoom on legislative issues. I think you gentlemen were able to attend as well. Some interesting ideas out there and proposals, so we'll wait and see what happens in the near future. We'll be meeting today with CDOT, like Nicole says, trying to finalize the Alkali Basin project. And lastly, Spratlin went to Florida. He's trying to assist with the hurricane as a incident commander over there. So that's all I have, gentlemen.
All right, very good. Okay, to my right, I think I went left.
I don't have anything to report.
Okay.
I got city council tonight, and just one question. Did you want to go back up to that master contract with WIC?
I do, and I think you were able now to get it pulled up, so yeah, we can do that before we finish ours.
I don't care, however you want to do it.
If you can pull it up so that we can actually display it and get these signed. All right. So I guess then you would want formal a formal movement on this, Ian.
Yep.
For these contracts. So this is basically between Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, CDPHE, and Montezuma County. And the total amount is $170,000. And this is an amendment to the contract, amendment number 3 for 2021-0191. And it's displayed on there of how it's broken out. Do you guys have any other questions?
No.
I don't.
All right, well then I will,
Move we sign the contract with Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment for the original contract number 2021-0191, amendment number 3, in the total of $170,000. Will that cover what you need, Kim? Okay.
Second.
okay, it's been moved and seconded to sign the contract with CDPHE between CDPHE and the Board of County Commissioners for the amended number 3 contract 2021-0191 in the amount of $170,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, let me see if I can sign that one real quick. And while that is, I'm trying to get that one to sign it, we also have another one for a master task order contract and amendment number 1. Again, this was CDPHE and the county for our public health department. Ian, do you have anything to add?
Nothing to add to this one. What it does is it removes the duty of our public health department to only contract with subcontractors that are able to provide specific types of insurance. What was happening is they were subcontracting with these organizations, and those organizations weren't able to meet the insurance requirements that were in the original contract. So this just loosens those insurance requirements, which allows our local public health department to contract as part of this contract with more third-party subcontractors, if that makes sense. Talked to Bobby Locke at length about this. I think everybody's comfortable with it. I think it's going to be a positive thing for our health department because it's just going to open up options to do more subcontracting.
Questions or comments?
No.
Okay.
I would so move we sign the master task order contract number 23 FAA 00035 AMD1 with the State of Colorado Public Health Department and Montezuma County Commissioners.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to sign the master task order contract amendment number 1 between CDPHE and the Board of County Commissioners for our public health department, as expressed by our county attorney. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then I think there was one more. I think I sent you 3, right?
There is one more, but the email link has expired.
Yeah, right. Let me see if I can.
Do we have an option to print those after they've been?
I think so. Okay, I am going to forward this one to you.
Is this the first one at the top of your, that just come through?
That just came in, yep, from
Let me
Celeste.
see if I can pull that
Yep.
up.
And this is just a general comment while we're waiting. I mean, I know the state's using this DocuSign program to get contracts to us. It's really not conducive to the way our board operates or the way that we need to vote on things and look at things and display things. I don't know whether it's a possibility in the future for these departments to actually get PDF copies of the contracts, then we can get in front of everybody and get a signature on, but it certainly would make it a lot easier because, what this DocuSign program is geared towards is situations where the parties are single parties and they can just send it out and do it without any sort of timeline or voting approval. Here, we just operate on a different schedule, so they end up sending this stuff out late in 1 week, and by the time we can actually get it before this board, everything expires. It just doesn't work great, so.
So I guess we should ask them to send all of our stuff to us on Mondays, so that we actually have time to review them through our workshops, if there's any questions on them, and then we actually can move on them on Tuesday, because usually it's a 24-hour window they give us to sign them.
It would be much easier for me. What I end up doing is I can't get into the DocuSign contracts that they send, and so I end up reaching out to the individual department heads to get some kind of PDF, and sometimes they can't even get that off there, and it just ends up being a funky email document. So I don't know. It might be something that we can work with the department heads on. Surely in today's day and age, we can get a PDF file of these things and get it distributed to everybody.
Just on my end of it, to get a hard copy of it usually takes me several months.
Well, once we sign this, it should have a finished,
Yeah.
and then I should be able to get it to send to you.
What I've been getting in the past is I don't get it until everybody has signed it, and then then Bobby sends it to me, but it's taken several
Way down the
months.
road. Okay. All right, well, we have this next task order. Again, this is with CDPHE, with Board of County Commissioners for Public Health, and it's task order contract number 23 FAA 00035. And this one is in the amount of $116,927, and it's for cost reimbursement for the WIC, director.
Gerald?
I move that we sign this master task order contract number 23 FAA 00035. Task order number 2023-2233 for $116,927.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to sign the task order, the master task order contract number 23 FAA 00035 between Colorado Department of Health and Environment and the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners in the amount of $116,927. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I think that was all three of them. And they are now signed. Okay, with that, Commissioner Copenhaver, I'll go back to you.
This last week I did, along with Mr. Anderson, listen in on the Zoom meeting on the different county proposals for CI legislation to be presented forward in this next year. Some of the different county proposals that they had brought forward. There's some interesting things that were brought up. Larimer County's bringing forth a possibility of getting some legislation through the state to help pay for some actual, I guess you would call them agriculture, not really conservation easements, but agreements where whole areas in agriculture would come together and they would be paid to keep their land in agriculture without actually, and it would just be extended for like 15 or 20 years, not tying it up forever like a conservation easement does, but it was a proposal that was brought forward by Larimer County that they're actually have this program in place, but they really don't have a way to get enough fees to pay these people to keep their land in ag for the next 20 or 25
To
years.
volunteer.
It's not forever, because we can't see into the future that far, what we're gonna need to do with these land that far away, but they're wanting to develop a program where maybe they could get some help from the state to do that. So it was kind of an interesting proposal that they brought forward. There's a lot of questions around it, how it'll all be set up. I guess this is being done in other states around the country now, quite a bit, rather than conservation easements going in, so that eventually that land will come back out, because we don't know what future generations will need to do with that land. So it's kind of an interesting proposal.
What Commissioner Copenhaver is referring to are VADs. They're called Voluntary Agricultural Districts, and that's kind of what he's alluding to, and that goes through the Agricultural, Wildlife, and Rural Affairs Committee.
Yeah. Other than that, I didn't have any other meetings and just normal phone calls and stuff.
Okay, I attended our monthly US DOT check-in. It was actually a short meeting. We actually have our new president, our new chairperson chairing that, and it was kind of refreshing. It was a Zoom meeting, but it was relatively short. You know, one of the biggest conversations that they keep having, and I kind of sent you guys food for thought to think about, and it's all on this electrification that we're trying to do. You know, we talk about the grid and what it needs, but you know what we're not thinking about is, you know, what do we need? What does it take to produce all of these batteries? So just a question out there. Well, it takes a ton of mining, and when I say ton, I mean physical tons of mining to produce everything that you need to put into these batteries. So as people start demonizing the mining industry and other industries, remember what you have to make everything work together. So pretty interesting on what we're going to have be mined just to be able to continue with the batteries and the electrification of what's being pushed. Part of that. I then entered into a ClearGov demonstration with Phaedra and Travis. This is another software program that basically enhances Cassell. It works in conjunction with Cassell. And that's something that we might possibly have to look at here in the very near future. Yesterday was a perfect example of the issues that we're having with Cassell. Not that it's a bad program. I don't think anybody is saying that. This might be able to just enhance it. Went to a kind of a meet and greet Friday evening with Shelley Shaw. Listened to her speak for about an hour, and then moved on. We had our workshop yesterday. Our workshop, sat through the whole day with our presentations of all the budget proposals, and now, we'll have to fine tune that specifically to see how much we have that we can actually spend. So more to come on that. But that was all day yesterday. I did want to address something that was brought up in public comment today, and all three commissioners do this pretty much on a daily basis. We were given a book today, and it's basically how do we fight or how to resist tyranny. Well, just like Commissioner Copenhaver said, we all sat in on that CCI legislation priorities for the upcoming legislative session. Last year, there were 657 bills that were introduced into legislation, and that is something that we actively go to Denver and we actually sit on these committees, and we fight for a lot of these things of the crazy bills that are being presented. So we do that consistently. Commissioner Copenhaver and I, this July went up and we're in a committee hearing testifying on codes as far as that, as it relates to the WUI, the Wildland Urban Interface. So we address this and we fight this all the time. We're actively signed a letter of support for La Plata County, trying to get CDPHE in some of the landfills, some of the directives that they're imposing on our landfills that are pretty egregious. And so we absolutely fight this stuff all the time. And with that, I will finish my report. And gentlemen, we have come to the end of our agenda for today. We will reconvene as the E911 board at 1:30. So with that,
Motion to adjourn.
Are we adjourning or just?
we're adjourning the BOCC meeting.
Okay.
We'll reconvene as the E911 board.
Okay, second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn this Board of County Commissioners meeting, September 27, 2022. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. At 1:30 for the E911 board. Thank you.